Speaking of the UK, Raw this past Monday was in Manchester, England. Twitter poll over 3,200 votes. 16% thumbs up, 84% thumbs down. Well deserved for one of the worst shows all year. And it was a show of the worst kind. It wasn't good, but it also wasn't so bad it's good, where you can at least be entertained by it in a train wreck kind of way. It was just bad. Just a miserable 3 hours, on the whole, a miserable 3 hours of television. And yes, the Lana and Rusev segment is a big part of that, but it's not the only reason. This show has no life. It has no pulse. This show is a zombie. It is a rotting corpse. AMC should have its attorneys send USA Network a cease and desist and explain to them that The Walking Dead is an AMC property, not USA. That is the state of Monday Night Raw. One of the only positive things that I can say about this show, lest anybody think that I have nothing positive to say, and this is more of a general statement, is that the Kabuki Warriors are being featured more than any other team thus far to hold those women's tag team titles. Because when the Iconics had them, or even Nikki and Alexa to some degree, I don't think you were seeing them on television every week. You really weren't seeing the titles defended all that much. When the Iconics had them, it was completely non-existent. Sasha and Bayley, they said, they showed up in NXT that time and, teased that they would defend the belts there, and they never did. Of course, they didn't have them for very long. And so the women's tag team titles all of a sudden are being featured more and defended more on television, more now than at any other point in their existence. And I know it made no sense to have Becky Lynch in there with Charlotte when it was Charlotte and Natty who beat Asuka and Kairi the week before. But they said Natty had a personal family matter to tend to and she couldn't go on the tour, or maybe she got sent home early. I don't know what the issue was with her, but she wasn't there because of a personal issue. Okay, that's what they said. So then don't do the match. Save it for when Natty comes back. She's already back. She's having a singles match with Asuka tomorrow night on Raw. But I like that Asuka and Kairi are actually on TV every week. And they're defending the titles, and I've enjoyed their heel run so far. And Asuka and the Green Mist, I like that. And with Asuka pinning Becky Lynch in this match on Monday last week, they may finally be ready. I won't hold my breath on this, but they could possibly finally be ready to revisit their feud and bring up the fact that Becky Lynch tapped out to Asuka at the Royal Rumble before Becky won the championship. They've had that in their back pocket now for almost an entire year. They had to revisit that at some point, and hopefully they will, but, Asuka's part of a tag team right now, so are they really going to pluck her out of that while she's still in a tag team and put her in a serious feud for the Women's Championship with Becky Lynch? I can't see that. But they should. And that is where my praise comes to a screeching halt. I thought the 24/7 stuff on this show with R-Truth and the Singh brothers was stupid. And it goes to the point I made last week. How uninspired and just lazy and uncreative it is. It's the same shit every single week. I cannot fathom that there are people out there over the age of 10 who are actually still entertained by this. It's like Groundhog Day every week. At least change it up. No creativity whatsoever. And then we get to the Lana segment. Lana comes out and she confesses that she was 9 weeks pregnant. And it had to be Rusev's little Machka brat because she only had sex with Bob Lashley for the first time 7 weeks ago. So the Cliff Notes version of this is that it was all a setup to get Rusev to come out. Lana lays the trap. Lashley then comes down and beats up Rusev, and then when they go back on the stage, Lana reveals that she was never really pregnant at all. It was all a ruse. Let me say this about that segment. A lot's been said, I'm sure, this week about that segment. I don't know what other people said, but I'm sure it wasn't very nice. I'm going to give you my impressions of this segment. I think what amazed me the most is that this was a taped show. This was not live. This was a taped show. Taped days in advance. This was a show that they could have watched back in the truck. Or wherever. At their their lair, their cave in Stamford. They could have watched this segment back and said, we can't put this on the air. This is horrible. Let's edit something else into the show. Of course, they don't think this is horrible. That's not how they think. They think this is genuinely good shit. It's such good shit. It's not just a meme. It's the fucking truth. I could hear his voice in my head right now. He was probably cackling in the back when the segment was over. Oh, such good shit. I could hear his voice in my head right now. Remember that Boogeyman Halloween stream they put up on the WWE YouTube channel a few weeks ago? Inexplicably, they just had Boogeyman sitting at a desk with a bunch of toys and trinkets on it for 3 hours. It was just a live stream that popped up on their YouTube channel of the Boogeyman sitting there and doing nothing. 3 hours of this shit. They would have been better off airing that entire stream of the Boogeyman in place of this entire show. They had the chance to pull this segment so that it would never see the light of day, and they aired it anyway. There was nothing they could do to edit out how much this segment sucked, because it did suck, and the storyline sucks. Everything about it sucks. Not if you ask Rusev, it doesn't. He's out there giving interviews saying that it's the hottest storyline going today. Because it gets 10 million views, I guess, on YouTube. It's the hottest thing going. Everybody loves it. Now, maybe he's being sarcastic when he says these things or when he tweets these things. He's a very sarcastic guy. This was a print interview. I can't hear his voice. I can't tell if he's actually being serious about this. I assume he is. If he honestly believes that, just because the videos get millions of views on the YouTube channel, they sure as shit don't get many millions of views on TV. But because they get millions of views on YouTube, that it's the best storyline going and it's just hot stuff, then you know what? I think then that there's something to be said for not letting the talent book their own angles. Let us hope they never let Rusev sit in on those booking meetings the way that Vince McMahon used to let Triple H sit in on those production meetings.